Thank you for joining the New York University Graduate School of Arts and Science Admitted Student event, and congratulations on your admission. We encourage you to introduce yourselves in the chat if you feel up for it. You could say your name, GSAS program, and where you're joining the event from today. And thank you to those who've already gotten us started with intros. My name is Sina Berg. I am an assistant director in graduate enrollment services, where we work closely with our applicants, admitted and enrolled students, and our academic departments. And we have a great team of colleagues from the graduate school and the Office of Global Services here today who will be answering your questions a bit later during the Q&A component of this event. But first, I am going to go through a brief presentation with information on what makes NYU GSAS unique and next steps for getting started. We are very excited to have a current student with us who you will hear from soon as well. We ask that you wait to ask your questions until the Q&A session section of the session, which will be coming up soon, as we hope to address many of the questions you may have during our presentation. Throughout the presentation, we will include links to helpful pages in the chat for you to reference. And we will send a document with all of the useful links, as well as a recording of this session in the next couple of days. We want to give you a sense of the core offices that comprise the Graduate School of Arts and Science and support our students. These include Graduate Enrollment Services, the Master's College, Academic and Student Affairs, and our 54 academic departments and programs, which are the home base for our students. By this point, we know that many of you have had a chance to review the GSAS new student checklist. We encourage you to read through each item, as the checklist will help you navigate getting started at NYU. You can also learn about our community and the resources and opportunities available both within GSAS and NYU at large on our website. We encourage you to schedule a campus tour if you're in the area or will be visiting. Campus tours are offered most days of the week, other than over holiday break. You can also watch a video narration of a tour and check out our campus map to help you get a sense for the area if you're unfamiliar. We will be hosting a new student orientation on campus on Friday, January 23rd from 1 to 5, followed by a Spring Fling welcome reception. Keep an eye out for emails and join us. Many academic programs will also host new student orientations, virtual or in person, and they will be in touch with you regarding the dates. The Office of Global Services is hosting international student orientations. Keep an eye out for emails about this. The event will provide helpful information about immigration regulation requirements, as well as recommendations around cultural adjustment. You can meet other students and discuss topics like work, travel, and life at NYU. We are now going to go through important topics such as how to accept your offer of admission, financial aid, university resources, living in New York City, information for international students, and what makes NYU GSAS unique. To officially accept your offer, if you haven't already, log into your application and look at your application status page. Follow the instructions for replying to the offer of admission. If you are required to pay an enrollment deposit, that may be paid by credit card. It is non-refundable and will be applied as a credit against your first term's tuition. On the Admitted Student Resource page, you can read about activating your NYU Net ID and email, our transcript policy, the new student checklist, and information for international students. Note that you must submit a final and official transcript that shows your degree was conferred prior to enrolling at the graduate school. The first day of the spring 2026 semester is January 20th, and the spring course schedule is available. You will want to discuss your course selections with your academic program. So what makes NYU GSAS unique? Founded in 1886, the Graduate School of Arts and Science is one of the oldest graduate schools in the United States. We enroll over 5,000 students in a broad spectrum of programs, including doctoral, master's, joint degree programs, as well as global programs and advanced certificates. The school's 54 departments convene scholars who conduct path-breaking research and prepare for careers both inside and outside of academia. NYU's campus is in and of the city and of the world. NYU is the largest independent research university in the United States. It is primarily located in the heart of downtown Manhattan and Brooklyn. Beyond our campus in New York City lies a world of opportunity within NYU's global network. With NYU Abu Dhabi and NYU Shanghai, our other degree-granting campuses, as well as 12 international academic centers in Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, South America, and Australia, NYU offers global experiences to members of its community. NYU and GSAS have amazing campus resources such as our libraries, sports facilities, and the Wasserman Center for Career Development. We have award-winning faculty and are committed to fostering a dynamic, rigorous teaching and learning community that embraces a broad spectrum of viewpoints and approaches. NYU has so much to offer, as does New York City, the larger campus for your studies. Our Living in New York City section on the website provides information on things like how to find an apartment, navigate public transportation, where to find cheap eats, how to navigate the city streets, and resources for moving. Our Center for Student Life advises students on the apartment search process through a variety of resources such as commonly used websites for apartment searches, legal resources, and local brokers. Our International Student Reference Guide provides information for planning your arrival in New York, travel tips, and steps you will need to take when you arrive. Obtaining a visa is a crucial aspect of the preparations international students make before arriving in New York. The application process involves several tasks, so students are advised to take special care in filling out the required forms and to allow plenty of time for processing. All details can be found in the reference guide and on the Office of Global Services website. The Office of Global Services is your New York University resource on matters pertaining to your immigration status. GSAS is proud to have one of the largest international student populations in the United States. We enroll students from more than 100 countries, representing about 40% of our students. And New York City is a fantastic place to be a student. You can find every type of cuisine, visit so many unique neighborhoods and communities, hear many languages spoken on our streets, and experience a wide variety of performances from grand venues to the subway platforms. Many of our admitted students, in addition to wondering about what it will be like to live in New York, are wanting to understand financial aid options available. So I'm going to try to address this now. GSAS funding offers went out with admissions letters. Domestic students, if you have questions, about your financial aid package, please contact your department or you can email gsas.admissions@nyu.edu. Domestic students who are interested in applying for federal student loans or work study should file the free application for federal student aid. Graduate students are eligible for up to $20,500 in federal unsubsidized Stafford loans and federal work study funds. This is students who are U.S. citizens or permanent residents. Domestic students, again, U.S. citizens or permanent residents who filled out the FAFSA will receive an email from the Office of Financial Aid soon if you haven't already. The aid available for graduate students from the federal government is loans and work study funds. The GSAS Tuition Incentive Program is a scholarship matching program. We encourage students to apply for external scholarships and provide tuition support to recipients of external awards. Most external scholarship application deadlines are in the fall, but there are applications throughout the year. We typically ask that applications for matching funding through the TIP program be submitted by August 31st, but we work with students who receive external funding throughout the year. So definitely continue looking for those sources of funding throughout your time in the program. GSAS is a financial aid program to assist tri-state elementary and secondary school teachers with a 50% tuition scholarship for qualified full-time classroom teachers. We also participate in the Yellow Ribbon Program for U.S. veterans, and we provide funding for other active duty service members who are part of the Advanced Civil School and related funding programs. You can search for on and off campus employment, including federal work study positions and internships, through our Wasserman Center for Career Development using Handshake, the Handshake platform. If you decide to accept our offer of admission, you will be able to access this portal before classes begin. International students are permitted to work on and off campus with certain restrictions, and the Office of Global Services is your primary contact for advisement. Students can learn about opportunities to become resident assistants through the Office of Resident Life and Housing Services. Graduate students may apply for a position after they've completed one semester at NYU. So that was a lot of information that we went through quickly. This is the time for your questions and answers with the GSAS administrators. We're going to take just a couple moments. We invite you to pose your questions through the Q&A feature in Zoom, which is at the bottom of your window versus the chat. It's a little bit easier for us to get you helpful information using that feature here in the webinar. With each question that you ask, please be sure to include the program you've been admitted into and let us know if you are an international student. Both of these pieces of information really help us tailor our responses and get you the best information possible. Again, we're gonna be answering questions for a few moments, then we're gonna invite up our student speaker, and we're gonna encourage you to ask her questions as well about the student experience. And then our team will continue responding to your questions through the Q&A. So that's the plan. Let's get started. Thanks, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your great questions, and thank you to our team for the great answers. I'm going to answer a few questions here before I invite up our student speaker, just because they might be questions that are on the minds of many of you. They're common questions that we receive. So the first is from an international student admitted to the MA in Experimental Humanities. The question is, since resident assistant roles are only available from the second semester onwards, what other on-campus opportunities would you recommend? Is becoming a TA in the first semester a more likely option? So great question, comes up a lot. We recommend, with regard to the TA opportunities or any paid position opportunities that might be within your department, we recommend you contact your department. Now is a great time just to see what are the possibilities. It varies by program. Sometimes students in their first semester can get an opportunity to TAing is less likely, but also hourly work or things along those lines. So reach out to your program to see what might be possible. Also, once you've accepted your offer of admission, once a little bit of time has passed, you will gain access to the Wasserman Center for Career Development's job search environment, which we use Handshake here at NYU, and you can search for on and off campus positions. Now, this student mentions that they're an international student, so definitely consult also with the Office of Global Services to make sure you're compliant with the requirements that international students have around working while they are students. So Wasserman Center for Career Development to look at on-campus jobs, Office of Global Services to learn what are the guidelines or parameters for what work you're allowed to do, and then talk with your department about opportunities for work within the department. So another question is, as a Master's of Science in Computer Science international student from India, how do I connect with roommates and look for housing? A couple thoughts there, and we'll talk about this more with our student speaker, but you can contact your department and see if there's any sort of incoming student group listserv that you can join. You can review the links that we're going to be sharing after this session today in an email. We'll share all of the links that we've been providing, including some that provide off-campus housing information and resources. So we recommend you definitely look at that, but we'll talk more about housing in a moment with with Wad, who is here with us. The last question I wanted to answer here is also I enrolled as a full-time student, but if I were to get a full-time job in the middle of my program, will I be able to change to part-time? This is a great question too. All of these questions are great. This really varies by program. Many programs can be quite flexible with students, but it's a question to raise with the program that you've been admitted into just to get a sense for what's possible, what that might look like. So, great question, but we encourage you to ask the program that you've been admitted into. So, keep the questions coming and think about questions you might want to ask of a current student to get insights on the student experience. And with that said, I'd love to invite up our student speaker, Wad, if you could join us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Wad. I'm a consumer psychology master's student, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have about NYU today.
Wad, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you being
Mhm.
here and making the time.
Of course.
So we're keeping an eye on the Q&A, but in the meantime, I have some questions to get us started. So, could you tell us a little bit about what made you choose NYU and also what helped you make the best decision on graduate program for you?
Yeah, so I did undergrad in psychology in Jersey. And I knew that I didn't want to go like the PhD clinical route. And I definitely knew counseling was maybe not the route I wanted to go to anymore. So I took a year off after undergrad and just looked at my options and looked at my what programs are out there and what I could do in psychology that wasn't so therapy and clinical based. And I came across NYU's program, and it was honestly the most unique program that I've come across in like all the research that I did in my gap year. There were definitely no programs that had so many specialties, especially the consumer psychology track is like what I'm a part of. So it was just very unique, and there just were not a lot of programs like it, and there was so much opportunity. I think that's what kind of led me to NYU as a whole is how much opportunity there is, like the type of professors. Like I have professors that work at Google. Wasserman has like which is our career center, has like such huge connection to like the alumni network here. And as you probably all know, like NYU has incredible alumni. So definitely the uniqueness of the program and the connections and the network that come with being NYU. It truly is like a global network.
Amazing. Thank you for those insights, Wad. So, I understand that you moved to New York, and as you know from your own experience and your classmates, many of our students move here to participate in graduate school. Can you talk a bit about what that experience was like for you to move up here, find housing, kind of adjust to this environment, and any tips that you have for anyone that will be doing that in a month or a few weeks, perhaps?
Yes, I'm happy to. I definitely had a lot of anxiety moving here because I just knew how the market was. But I will say I feel like I had a I would say a relatively good story, like success story with housing. So I'm happy to relieve any anxiety that anybody has because I know I had a lot. So firstly, understanding that the housing market here moves really fast. Like I didn't really know where I was going to live until 2 weeks before my lease started. And that's just kind of how it is. So if you feel like you're like in a time crunch right now and it's stressing you out, that's just kind of how it is here. Like everything moves very, very fast. I personally used a Facebook group to find my roommates. The way that I did it was I just joined onto a lease instead of signing a whole new lease or a brand new apartment. There were already people living there and I was replacing somebody. So yeah, I used a Facebook group and you do have to really use discernment in using these Facebook groups and making sure that you are in ones that are like monitored well and like moderated. So I definitely would recommend like looking through them very carefully because there are a lot of scams. But mine was kind of like more of a private group that I found, and there's so many different groups that you can find. So I went through that route and I found my roommates there. We connected, I toured the place, and it was a pretty smooth process. I also recommend using Street Easy. I was using Street Easy a lot. And I would recommend that if you're looking not to join onto a lease, but to like, start a new lease with somebody. But also the Facebook groups are really helpful for finding roommates as well. Um, in terms of groups, I know that that NYU has like an off-campus resource page, which I'm not sure if it was linked before, but I'm happy to link it afterwards. You can find roommates on there, you can find apartments on there and listings and stuff. So it is a lot, but there's so many people looking for roommates. There's sublets if you want to try something out for a few months. And people are always looking for roommates. People are always looking to move. So yeah, that was kind of my experience.
Thank you so much for sharing that
Mhm.
information and listing all of those resources. Um, One thing for those of you who aren't familiar with our campus and area yet, we are quite centrally located in terms of transportation, so um, that's really great in that it allows you to explore a lot of different neighborhoods that depending on your price range, depending on the kinds of things that you're looking for in your neighborhood and community, there's just so many options in the metro area from, all over Manhattan, but a lot of our students live in Brooklyn and Queens, especially. Some of us live over in Jersey, right across the river, or, in the Bronx. So there are a lot of options and the transportation leads, most train lines and bus lines lead to this area pretty nicely, I would say. So that's something to keep in mind. Just going to take a peek at the Q&A. Thanks everyone for your questions. Okay, so Wad and just a reminder to our participants, feel free to pose any questions for Wad. We're keeping an eye on this. But the next question that I have for you is, so one question or one area of inquiry we hear about a lot from admitted students is kind of how might I find community on campus or my program or in the university? So can you talk a little bit about your experiences navigating that and advice that you have for students who will be joining us this winter?
Yeah, I'm a little biased because I work for the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and I work in student affairs, so we host a lot of events. But I will say the events that we host, at least for me, have been primarily the way that I've met a lot of my NYU friends, even more so than friends I've made in my program. So like they're really fun, like, events that are on campus. They're near a lot of the buildings here. So that was like a great way for me to build community. We do like little pumpkin painting events or we do outings to games and stuff. And I've made a lot of friends through that. And then in terms of department wise, like in my program, departments tend to host their own events as well that are like more specific to the people in your cohort, which is nice. Like I know the psych department has like a book club that they're starting up, and it's nice to join things like that so you can get to know people in your classes. Master's College also hosts a lot of things. And there are so many different free events that you can go to and meet people. So I would say primarily that's kind of how I really built community here at NYU. Yeah, and I've been here a year now, and I feel like just there's so much opportunity. There's free shows that you can go to, like ice skating we just did. And a lot of happy hours too. So like those are great ways to meet people.
Thanks, Wad. Yeah, I just want to echo the work that WAD's team actually does in student affairs and also the Master's College programming specifically just for master's students is really amazing. All of the examples she shared and so many more, like going to Broadway shows and holiday lights walking tours and so many cool community events that allow you to meet people across the graduate school, not just in your program, which is also special and important. And then NYU wide events. There's so many things happening on campus. Like Wad said, free events with food, events that are outings in the city. So keep an eye on your email. You'll start getting a lot of information on cool things happening, and then just, jump in where you can. Um, but also especially take a look at what's happening in your program because those emails are most important, not just around community, that too, but also um, opportunities for employment and things like that come through department. So keep an eye on those emails closely as well. So, an Another question that I have for you, you've shared that you work in the graduate school and you're a student. Can you talk, and many of our master students work while studying as well. Can you talk a bit about what work-life school balance has looked like for you and what you've learned along the way?
Yeah, that was a big lesson that I had to learn this year was managing working full time, being a student and trying to like enjoy like life. So that was definitely very difficult for me to learn, but time management obviously is the biggest thing. I think that helps in any aspect. But also, I think realizing like prioritizing my health and my rest was also very important for me to not burn out. Like the assignment will always get done, but I need to sleep. Like I need to prioritize like things that, fuel me and things that I enjoy. So definitely prioritizing myself in terms of health so that I can show up in my work, I can show up in school and just like be the best overall student, like and employee that I can be. Um, and then also Google Calendar. I will always say Google Calendar has like saved my life. It's like the most organized thing in my life. It just helps me schedule my week and kind of prepare. Like I'll put anything in there. If somebody wants to get lunch, it's going in the calendar. And then same thing with work, school. So just scheduling my days and then also blocking off time where I'm not doing anything. Or times that like I want to go to the gym or times that I want to go home and do nothing. Like there's blocks for everything. So definitely just staying organized, managing your time well, and prioritizing your health and your rest first so you can show up in other aspects of your life.
Amazing. Thank you for those tips.
Hmm.
So last call for our participants today to raise a question or two in the Q&A. And Wad, the last question that I have for you is kind of a catch-all. So thinking back to when you had been admitted to GSAS and you decided to join us, um, what, thinking back to that time, what information was helpful? What information would have been helpful to have received and thinking about how to prepare and, get ready for this next big chapter?
Yeah. Well, first, I would say utilize the resources that are offered to you. Like, there's so much that NYU offers, and there's so much just like the city can offer you to make this like transition easier for you. Um, Yeah, I think sometimes it feels like a little isolating when you move somewhere by yourself for the first time, or just start a new chapter in your life. It can feel isolating, but knowing that there is community to help you, there are resources to help you out. I think if I really honed in on that instead of feeling like, okay, I need to like do this all, like figure this all out by myself, that's not the case at all. Um, and then building off of that, like really looking for ways to find community, I think just made this transition just a lot easier for me. And that like kind of meant putting myself out there, going out of my comfort zone. Um, and then also, again, I'm biased, but like really connecting with the school that you're in. So like, showing up to grad school of arts and sciences, like events, going to like just different things that are offered because I think when you build community or when you build that relationship with the people that work for your school, there's a lot, I think, of resources that you hear of first or that like just opportunities that you can get like really engaging with the school that, that you're a part of. And even with like my department, I feel like I've built that relationship with like the psych department. And, I feel very comfortable going to them for things that I need or like any support. So just lean on the people around you, I think was like the biggest thing that I would offer to everybody.
Thank you, Wad. And
Mhm.
thank you so much for making the time to
Of course.
be our student speaker today. We really appreciate you. We know this is a busy time of year.
It is, but I'm happy to put my email in the chat if anybody ever has any questions or anything. I'm happy to be like that support for you as you start your journey at NYU.
Thank you so much.
Of
We
course.
really appreciate you. So this concludes today's event. Thank you to everyone for joining us. If you have follow-up questions, please feel free to email our office or your program that you'll be joining or that you're you're making your final decision on. As a reminder, we invite you to take part in the GSAS Spring Welcome event on January 23rd. You'll receive more information and an invitation soon. Also, we will email you a link to a recording of this presentation and the website, the web pages that we shared throughout the presentation. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are joining us from, and we hope to see you in January. Best wishes to everyone. Thank you.